Commissioner Castellano? Present. Commissioner McGilton-McGlamory?
Yep.
Commissioner Reeder?
Present.
Commissioner Roche? Commissioner Walker?
Here.
Vice Chair Price? Here. Chair Holland? Here. We have a quorum.
Our first order of business tonight is to approve the minutes from our January 9th, 2014 minute. I move that we receive and file the minutes of the January 9th, 2014 meeting. May I have a second? Second. It has been moved and seconded. If there is no objection, the minutes of June 9th, 2014 will be accepted into record. Opportunities will now be given to members of the public. We have 2 speaker cards in front of me. First, we will give an opportunity for those to speak who have completed one of these speakers cards. Afterwards, anyone else may come to the podium to speak to commission-related issues. A 5-minute time limit will be given to each person to address the commission. The commission may grant additional time, and please give your name for the record. Our first speaker this evening will be Dr. Anderson.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. George Anderson, and in early September, I went to celebrate my birthday dinner. I'm born on the 22nd of August. I wanted simply to have a lobster for my birthday. And early September, the Lobster Fest was here. So after the 5:30 Mass, which I attended at St. Anthony's, and I went down to the Lobster Festival, where after purchasing, I got in for free because I'm a disabled vet. I purchased a large lobster. I spent $40, but I was accosted by one of the managers who told me I couldn't be in there with dogs. Well, when I told him that they were service dogs, he demanded further proof than what I had on me, which was my veteran's ID card, DOD, Department of Transportation ID, that was from the city of Washington, D.C., that was generated by the licenses given by the city of Long Beach, which were connected to the prescription for the service dogs from the VA. I gave them that. I gave them my DAV card. I gave them my VA card, which clearly said that I was service connected, but what I was treated with was like a lack of respect. When I announced that they were service dogs, the first thing out of the guy's mouth was, "Did you have any proof?" I said, "I don't need any proof, sir. I just told you the truth." He's like, "I didn't call you a liar." I said, "Yes, you did when you asked me for proof. I can show you that I'm a disabled veteran. I have no need to lie to you." "Oh, no, you can't stay here." So then he disappears, and he comes back with Sgt T Long. Sergeant Long proceeds to tell me that I cannot enjoy my birthday dinner. I must leave. I'm surrounded by 6 police officers. I'm told that I have to leave the premises, and am treated like a common criminal. I don't know about you, but I served in the United States Air Force. I wore a uniform that said United States Air Force for the time that I was in. I was honorably discharged. When I wore that label and I got hurt in my youth, I was told that I would be treated with respect. A simple thing like going to get a birthday lobster shouldn't cause unrest or someone angst. But when you see a vet like me, I have a hidden disability. And that hidden disability often is prevented from getting in my way because I do things in the city. I'm a teacher in North Long Beach at St. Athanasius. I teach religious education. I've even helped one of the commissioners here with a citizenship class, which I thoroughly enjoy doing. But when I run into ignorance around the city, as displayed by Sergeant Long, in the fact that I showed him the 4 pieces of identification, he said that they didn't qualify and had me removed. And it made me feel very much diminished as a part of the citizens of Long Beach. I have served as the Junior Vice Commander for the Long Beach chapter of the Disabled American Veterans as the Junior Vice Commander, as indicated by my title pin on my hat. But when you go out, I often have to be prepared to fight ignorance like I did that night. Unfortunately for me, when my PTSD kicks in, my appetite goes out the window. I never got a chance to finish my lobster. The lobster had to be thrown out because I couldn't eat for 5 days, because that's the side effect of what happens to me when I experience PTSD. So what I'm saying, why I'm here tonight, is that I would like to see the city of Long Beach do something to make the officers a little bit more educated about veterans and their service dogs, so that no veteran, if they should desire to go out for a birthday lobster, should ever have to be subject to such a nasty and negative experience. So much so that it robs you of the pleasure of the very thing that you've come from. So my service dogs don't look like regular service dogs because they're both rescues. I've had dogs for over 40 years in my family. Very good at training them. They usually listen. And I try to pick dogs with good temperaments because this is like my second set of service dogs. But that still shouldn't subject me to discrimination from the police when I identify that I have a service dog. And I would just like for the city to compensate me for the lobster that I lost due to the ignorance of the police officers, because no one should have to suffer that in Long Beach. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Our next speakers, Lee and David Martin. Mr. and Mr. Martin.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
The reason why I'm here is I received a letter from the Citizens Police Complaint Commission regarding a complaint that my son and myself, David, filed with Long Beach Police Department. And the part that disturbs me the most out of there is the response to this complaint. Basically, it says, it has been determined by the police department review staff and the CPCC staff that no further action will be taken on your complaint because the complaint was deemed to have judicial review, such as a disputed parking ticket. This was a major injury traffic collision where the officer, first of all, did not investigate it properly, did not document it properly, and the supervisor, after all this over, failed to supervise this action. To give you a brief on what had happened, my son was on his way to work driving eastbound on 4th Street at Grand.
Yes, right before Grant.
Right before Grand. He works at MVP Restaurant, been working there for 2.5 years. As he's going eastbound in the lane, he slows down, puts on his turn signal, moves over into the two-way left turn pocket, which is a solid line with 2 lines on the middle, started to make his left turn, and a guy from behind him attempted to pass him on the left at a high speed and collided into his car, hitting him, tearing his door off his car. The officer wrote him a ticket for illegal U-turn in a business district when, according to the California Vehicle Code, you can make a U-turn from a two-way left turn pocket. I called, it took 35 days for them to get the traffic collision finished. First of all, small thing. Right after that, I got the report, I read it, I couldn't believe what I was reading there, and I said, let me call Long Beach Police Department, Traffic Accident Department, and ask them, what about this? Their department said, we do not review traffic accident reports. I go, well, what do you guys do there? He goes, it's only up to the officer to review. Got to contact him. So I contacted him. I said, officer, there's something wrong with this report. There's so many things that are messed up in this thing. Can you fix it? He said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I said, you wrote my son a ticket on something that you weren't there, that you had no physical evidence, no independent witness for making a legal U-turn in a business district when you can do that. He goes, I must have made a mistake. Just take it to court. Don't worry about it. This laissez-faire attitude that he had up there is exactly the problem that we're having with Long Beach Police Department failing to properly document an official police document that they give out here. We went to Long Beach Court. After he missed 5 days of work, 5 days of school, I had to pay $235. He had to miss a day of school to go fight the ticket, and then another day of school to go to court to find it being dismissed because it's not against the law to make a U-turn on 4th Street. So it's 2 days there. So then we have to come here for this. I talked to the officer. He says, yeah, don't worry about it. He says, the only thing that I can do now is I can't change it, but if you want to, you can call my supervisor. So I called the supervisor. Supervisor told me, well, it's up to the officers to determine what's going on in the field. There's nothing I can do about it. So we have a traffic accident where a guy passes my son, who was behind him, passes him on the left unsafely, glides into his car. We tell the police department that they made a mistake. They don't want to fix it. We talk to the officer. He says, don't worry about it, go to court. So we go to court. I called him back and said, hey, look, you guys, we went to court. They dismissed it. Yeah, that's all we can do about it. No, I need to talk to your supervisor. I can't investigate it because it's up to the officer to make a determination. So I'm going, this is crazy. So I write a complaint. I said, this is ridiculous. This complaint deals with improper investigation for the officer, first of all, improper documentation on an official document, and the officer to supervise. And they put down there that this, under judicial review, the same as disputing a parking ticket. This has nothing to do with the judicial part of this at all. This only has to do with their misconduct for improperly reporting a traffic accident, which is obvious. There's no way a guy behind him who passes him in the two-way left turn pocket, hits him, can be found not at fault. There's no way. I went out to the scene up there. I found physical evidence, skid marks which are outlined in the complaint. I found an independent witness who saw the whole thing that goes down. I've got the witness, I got physical evidence, I've got the vehicle code from California that states everything that we're talking about here to show the other party is at fault in this clash. And Long Beach City sends me back a review saying there's nothing we can do. That is totally wrong. I expect more out of the police department in Long Beach. I expect them to do their job and just do it right one time. If you make a mistake, it's fine. Fix the mistake. But sending a letter back like this saying, we're not going to look at it because it's the same as a parking ticket is wrong. And I would like them to do the right thing and correct this clash. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. and Mr. Martin.
Did your son want to speak, sir?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Mr. and Mr. Martin, we appreciate that you came in this evening and shared your evidence and your thoughts with us. At a future meeting, at a future time, it will be discussed whether the case will be reopened.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Anderson, it is presumed that the facts related to your allegations of misconduct are contained in the brief that we will discuss in closed session tonight. Due to legal limitations, we will not discuss your case in open session, nor ask you questions about your testimony here this evening. Please know that we have listened closely to both parties and that some of us may have taken notes as you were speaking tonight. We know that it is very difficult to speak in front of a group of strangers about something that is sensitive and so important to all of you. Therefore, we thank you for coming this evening. You are welcome to stay for the remainder of this session or are free to leave. You will receive the final disposition, Dr. Anderson, in the mail. Feel free to contact our executive director or investigator if you have any questions.
Just one other thing. They do have service dog licenses from the city. They do have service dog licenses from the city, both of them. So when I told the gentleman that they were indeed service dogs, I was not lying. Here's the proof.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson, and thank you as well for speaking. As our chair stated, we know it's not difficult, and we know it's not easy. And the process has meaning the letter that you received is a no further action letter that was sent from staff regarding the first review. The letter also states the process of appealing the findings, which is what you're requesting today, that the commission takes a look at the documents. So they'll discuss that. I think we will brief it, and you will receive a letter when the case goes before the commission for them to take a look at. We also have the benefit of these meetings being recorded, so that if there's anything we missed, if anyone did not have the opportunity to take a note, they can pull that recording and see it as well. I'm sorry that you felt that the analogy of a traffic ticket were specific to you. It is a canned statement. And the judicial review process is that this body is intended not to take the place of court, but to look at allegations of misconduct. You've been very clear with what you believe the officer should have done and the sergeant, and we'll make sure that the commission has the opportunity to look at that. Dr. Anderson, for you, sir, I would be negligent if I didn't share that I heard you say in your comments that you wanted to be compensated for the cost, and it's important for you to know that this body does not have the authority to do that. I believe you've been referred to the city attorney's office, correct? Office?
Yes, and
okay.
They said that they couldn't deal with it. They said I had to come through you. That's what I was told.
So it's two different pieces. Again, what this body does is look at allegations of misconduct. Anytime that someone wants to be compensated for the actions of city personnel, the process is always to go through the city attorney's office or the city clerk's office, I believe, to file a claim for damage, and that's ultimately reviewed by the city attorney's office. There's different statutory limitations with that, so I always encourage people to make sure that you handle that independently. And I know, we always say that this is not a place where people want to be. With all the other things you could be doing on a Thursday night, this is not where you want to be. And oftentimes, to add insult to injury, you've got so many different areas to handle. And on behalf of the commission, I just want to make sure that the things that the commission has the authority to look at, that we are appropriately looking at that. And for being compensated for your loss, sir, I would encourage you to follow up either with the city attorney's office, because ultimately that's where that goes. Okay. And for everyone, if there's any follow-up questions that you have, feel free to give me a call. Thank you. And I have nothing to report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any members of the commission who wish to speak this evening?
I would just like to thank both parties for coming out tonight and expressing their passion toward these issues, and know that we do actually take your comments into consideration, and your passion does come through, and want to know that we just take your comments into consideration. But thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
I just want to say thank you, George, for coming out. I appreciate you coming and bringing your two friends. And yes, he is a lovely person that does help me at the classes. He helps me teach citizenship classes, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, George.
We're also appreciative to the Martins for coming out, too. And I thank all three of you for coming out to us tonight. Anyone else like to speak? There being no additional comments, may I have a motion and a second to adjourn tonight's meeting? Okay, all in favor say aye. 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 Any noes? The motion passes. Public session is adjourned.